Welcome, YouTube. I just wanted to show you what's going on, what I'm going to do today. I got these tires a while back. They are Falcon Wild Peak AT3 zoom. It's a 3D effect. Hope you get your 3D glasses on. They are 32 by 11 and a half by 15, but as always there's a bit of a caution. I've replaced just about everything on my front end except for the upper control arms, well, the bushings anyway, and they're pretty worn out, so I don't want to put these tires on there with worn out control arm bushings and have them chewed up. So I got these control arms. I don't know which one's right and which one's left, I forget, but that's the one for that side, the part number there. I'll look these up and put them in the description. That's the part number for the other one, I will put in the description. And this is them. These are the Moog problem solver. They won't solve your marriage problems. Sorry about the dog barking. Always barks at the air. But they won't solve your financial problems, but they will solve your suspension problems. I wasn't crazy about the ball joints that came with it. They were a non-greasable ball joint, so I chiseled those off, as you can probably see by some of the marks here. I'm going to spray a little bit of semi-gloss, which I nicked it right there with a grinder while I was grinding off the rivets, and I sprayed there one coat, but I'm going to spray all this with a little bit of semi-gloss to protect it from rusting. So I just ordered whole new upper control arms. They're the problem solver, as I said, and what that really signifies is it's the bushings. They're like a thermoplastic, they're not rubber, so they're a little bit sturdier than rubber, so they're not supposed to deteriorate. So I just got the whole control arm. I figured that's easier to replace the whole control arm than to take this out and try to press these bushings out, which I could do, but you know, why? So I got these, so we're going to get started on that, and I will come back and show you the first step. So obviously the first thing you're going to want to do is get your car up on jack stands, get it up in the air, and you're going to want to take off each tire. Obviously I'm not going to show you how to jack up a car and put it on jack stands, take off a tire, except for the cool little quick montage of me taking off the lug nuts. You know how to do that, but here we go. You need to take this cotter pin out. Do this left-handed. I am not left-handed. I got the pin out. I did that off camera. So the same as the other side, we got to take this nut off. I already broke it loose, so we just got to get the castle nut off, and I have to hit it probably with the pickle fork. There we go. I just noticed that my tie rod in boot is torn, so I'm gonna have to address that after I get done with this. So never ends, I guess. So I'm gonna take off, before I get to the big stuff, I'm gonna take off this little bracket and this bracket and that up there that's holding the brake line and that little anti-lock brake cable. And then I learned from the other side yesterday that I have to take the brake or the shock at least loose, probably if not just all the way out, so these bolts can slide out this way and that way. So I'm going to turn the tire, the wheel, this way to the left first so I can get to the shock and other things. So I'm going to do that, and I'll be right back. So I'm going to take off these little nuisance brackets and stuff. Sorry about all the background noise. I think this one is a 13. Great. Yeah, I can't get that. There we go. So it's here. Oops. This one's always kind of a pain because it's got the 13 on this side. Well, let me wait till I get the arm off to take that. It's really hard to get a wrench back there. Oh, there we go. This one's always kind of a pain because it's got, I think it's a 13 on this side, and well, I may wait till I get the arm off to take that. It's really hard to get a wrench back there and to hold that. So I think I will go for the shock now. Okay, there we go. Okay, the shock bolts were kind of, move it a little bit. Shock bolts were kind of bound up in there because the suspension was drooping, so I had to put the jack under the control arm and lift it up a little bit to get the strain there. Then the shocks loose. There we go. There we go. Now the punch is stuck. Don't you just love it? There we go. There we go. And I got to change over the this little bump stop right here. That's for the down, and then I got to change over this bracket here that holds on the anti-lock brake wire. So I got to take this back and change those two, and then I still got to take this little bracket right here off, so I can get all that off and then go change that over. And I will be right back. So I'm gonna take this little bracket off here. This one's really a pain to try to get off when the control arm's on. There it is, so the control arm's off there now. So I'm going to take that and change this over and the other thing. So as you can see, those bushings are pretty well gone. They haven't quite fallen apart yet, but they're on their way there. So I already took this bracket off. I got to get this off and transfer it over to the new control arm, and then we'll be back at the truck. See, look at that. It's just falling out of there. I can just dig that out of there. So we'll go back to the truck next and put the new one on. The wire brush. Never hurt. Alright, I'm going to put a little bit of grease on here and on those sides, just to make it easier to slide in to kind of protect the metal. So I will be right back. GoPro, stop recording. So just a little grease on here and on here, not a bunch, just to coat the surface. Might not even need to do this, but whatever. Just doing it to make my life easier. Got the new control arm here. I need to put this bracket back on here, which, take that off. It's really tricky to do when it's on the car, so I prefer to do this when it's off. So you got a tab here, and those have to align with that thing right there, and then go in there like so. And then you can put the nut on. I think these are both a 13. Yeah, put that on there. And that should be enough. It doesn't have to be super tight. Alright, so I got it kind of lined up. Using a little bit of persuasion. To get those holes. And it's better to have it too high because I can always pound it down. It's really hard to pound it up. So it's too high right now, so I can pound it down a little bit. About right. Should go in there. Famous last words. Or first words. There we go. I think that's got it. Put a little grease on there. Because why not? Grease makes everything better. Okay, so that side is in. Nut. I had lost my nut. Okay, so this one just pretty much just slipped right in there. Almost. Bit of persuasion. That washer on there. The nut scalpel. Just kidding. It feels like surgery sometimes. Alright, I had to go change a battery in the GoPro. And I got both of these bolts in. They went in pretty easy. Got the marks lined back up, and the, ouch, it hit my head on both sides. All there, so it's all tightened up. Now I got to put this spindle in the ball joint in the spindle here, but I have to put the shock back in first, or I won't be able to get it through the gap there. So let me put you on my head, and we'll get back to work. Okay, I had to stop for a while and sort this out. I couldn't get couldn't get the ball joint on the spindle there. I had to take the shock back off. I couldn't get the suspension to compress enough to get this back on, even putting a jack under the control arm. So I had to take the shock off. And now I also loosened the adjustment bolts, so I'm trying to get those straightened out. So I'm going to do that off camera because you guys don't want to see that again. And I'll get the shock back on because you already saw that, and I will come right back. So the last thing I have to do, well, I got to tighten this little jobber here, this thing here. Doesn't really fit on there with the ratcheting because of that little. I'll get that a little bit better when I'm not holding the camera. I don't want it to like rub on that boot. But that's pretty much it. I'm gonna wrap up. I'm gonna put the, well, I'm not gonna put the tire back on yet because I got another problem here. You see this boot right there for my tie rod end? That's not good. That can't stay like that. It's all falling apart. So I'm gonna go run and see if I can find a boot for this, and maybe have some bonus footage changing this boot out. I'll have to take this cotter pin off and I'll show you that. That'll be the bonus footage. So I'm gonna sign off for now and come back and do this. Okay, well, this is the bonus footage. Excuse me. So I noticed that my tie rod boot here is kind of torn down under here. So I went and got these. Here we go. Just take that sucker off and see how it's all torn right there. That's not good. Excuse me. Stay lunch, so a little phlegmy. So we put the new one on. Oh, that is a little smaller. Oh, look at that. It's a nice little pop of color. Whack that a couple times with a dead blow. Yeah, there we go. Alright, I got it tight, and I just put this cotter pin in here. That's replaced now. Probably going to check the other side. It might be just as bad, if not worse. So I got to throw some grease in it, and then I'll come back and do these. I left them up there on the bench, so I have to go get them, and I'll come right back. Alright, so I got those boots on. You can see them back there. And I had to set it on the ground to get these off. If you try to do it in the air, they get bound up and they just won't come off. And you have to loosen both sides to get them off. So I'm going to go ahead and put the new bushings on there. I am going to put you on my head, so it's going to be kind of sideways, funny looking, but I think we'll all adapt. So here's what I got. They're energy suspension polyurethane, and they are locked very well. So I'm gonna have to cut them open. So I will come right back. Jack up the other side. It's kind of hard to get them both on because once you lift this side, that side goes down. It's kind of how a sway bar works. But I had to jack that side up to get when I had this side on, because then that side was too far down. I couldn't push it up with my hands, so I had to jack it up. So now they're both on. I tightened that side. I'm going to tighten this side, and we will be done. So there you can see
It's all tightened up. You can see the boot in there, up in there. So that concludes this video. I know it's kind of anticlimactic, just a boring video about changing your upper control arms, but hopefully it helps somebody and shows you what to do or what not to do in my case maybe. So with that, I'm going to conclude this video, the bonus footage and the regular footage, and I'll see you on the next one.